Hi, thank you so much for stopping by my channel. My name is Kai. If this is your first time stopping by my channel, please like, comment, subscribe, share. Today I'm going to do a tarot reading on the show Unsolved Mysteries. Netflix has they just released a show, Unsolved Mysteries, which is based on the old show Unsolved Mysteries, which was back in like the 80s or 90s. I can't exactly remember. But stuff like that is so interesting to me, like cases that have never been solved and it's just completely cold or whatever. So I just wanted to do a tarot reading on each case. It was 6 episodes, just to see what comes up. If you would like your own personal reading, you can click the link in the description box. It's 3 questions for $15. If you have your own ideas for a reading that I can do, please comment down below. And also click the notification bell or button so that you are notified when I upload my videos. All right, so basically, like I said, it was 6 episodes. The first episode was called, and they each had a different title. The first episode was called Mystery on the Rooftop, and basically it was like a guy, his name was Ray Rivera. He and his wife had moved to Baltimore, I believe it was, because his friend, whose name was Frank Stansberry, had a company and he wanted Ray to work for the company. So Ray and his wife moved to Baltimore. They were working for the company. He had known Frank Stansberry. Ray and Frank had known each other for years. They had been like childhood friends, I believe, or since like their teens. So it was natural for Ray to work with his friend or whatever. And then basically the wife had said that she went on a business trip and they had a woman staying with them, and the woman called her and told her that he was missing. And then ever since then, so she went home, realized that he was gone, and then they were looking for him. They eventually found his car. It was parked near where he worked. And then someone, and I forget who was, decided to go onto the roof to look down and look at like other buildings, and they saw what looked like, I believe, a body or some shoes or something. They saw something very suspicious. So then they went down to where it was like a hole. Actually, it was a hole. And they went down to the hole and they saw, that's when they discovered him. And so, ever since then it was labeled a murder. And he had written a note. Or he put it on his computer, and it was very strange. It was like listing a whole bunch of different movies and things like that. So it just seemed very off the wall. And what to me was suspicious was that his friend Frank had only put up like $1,000 for a reward to like for tips and everything. And I thought that was strange because they were supposed to be such close friends, whatever. So basically I just wanted to see what the cards say about each situation or, each story. All right, so first question. The guy's name was Ray Rivera. Did Ray Rivera's friend or his boss have something to do with his death? Because another thing that was very suspicious was the fact that the friend also, if I remember correctly, he didn't like comply with like the investigators. He wouldn't allow them to go through the business and ask questions. They had put out a I forget what it's called, like when they he put out something where his employees could not talk to the police. So that was also suspicious to me. And then I just kind of got the idea, because I'm really into like mysteries. Like I like that show Fatal Attraction that's on TV One. I used to love First 48. I just like mysteries and stuff like that. Don't ask me why. It's kind of morbid, but I don't know. It's just something about it. Something about the unknown and trying to find answers. And I guess that's why I love tarot as well. But anyway. All right. Did Ray Rivera's friend, Frank, have something to do with his death? All right, let's see. I got the Wheel of Fortune, but I got it in reverse. I say yes, and I also feel that with this show coming out, I feel like it's going to be some new tips, some new leads, something that's going to come up that is going to come back to haunt Frank. Because I feel like with the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, it's like, okay, with the Wheel of Fortune in upright, it's like, you know, your luck is suddenly turning, it's suddenly changing for the better, you know. But with it in reverse, it's like your luck is like things are going in reverse. The things that you did in the past is very, for me, to me, is a very karmic card. So if you have done good deeds in the past, when the wheel turns, it's going to turn the tide and everything will be in your favor. But in this case, it was in reverse. So I feel like the bad deeds, the bad things that happened between Ray and Frank will come back to haunt Frank, or come back to shed new light on what really happened. I feel like he's gonna have, I feel like it's other people that know what happened, and I feel like they're going to be urged to say something and to give out some kind of information, because I feel like there are people that wanted to talk, but if I can remember what it's called, the thing that Frank, he put out this thing that blocked his employees from talking to the cops. That really raised a red flag for me. But I do feel like with this show coming out, something's going to leak out. Someone's going to speak out. All right. And another thing, the reason why, another thing that raised a red flag for me was the letter that Ray had written or typed out. I can't remember, but it seemed very like it was in code, like he was talking in code. So to me, that kind of signified like it could be like a ritual killing or a sacrifice or something like that. So let me ask, was Ray Rivera's killing a ritual or sacrificial killing? All right, let's see. Was Ray Rivera's killing a ritual or sacrifice? Sacrifice killing. I got the Three of Swords. I feel like it, I don't know. I feel like they were arguing about something. I feel like, I don't know if Ray, let me see if I can pull a clarifying card. Why the Three of Swords? Did Ray make a mistake? Did he, because he, if I remember correctly, he was like a writer for this company. And I don't know, maybe he had stumbled across some information. And he was going to tell it. Let's see. Why the Three of Swords in reverse? I mean, not the Three of Swords in reverse. It's not in reverse. It's upright. But why the Three of Swords? Cruelty. Like something cruel. Like it. Three of Swords is like arguments or something between lovers. And I don't think they were lovers. I didn't get that vibe. I got the Knight of Swords. That fell out. I feel like with the Knight of Swords coming out, I feel like the Frank guy, I don't know what his sign is. I didn't look it up. But I feel like he is a person that comes across as really confident. I feel like he leads with the iron fist. I feel like he leads his company, his employees with a very iron fist. I feel like he's extremely disciplined. I feel like he conceals his emotions a lot. Just very, very smart. I feel like he's a very smart person. Very like shrewd, like a shrewd leader. Always aware of what's going on. He's the type of person that if something is missing, he is immediately aware of it. But why the Three of Swords? Let's clarify. Why the Three of Swords? Why the Three of Swords? I got the Moon, but I got it in reverse. I feel like this situation had to do with like arguments between them. I feel like they were butting heads about creativity. Like they were like Ray. I feel like Ray may have stumbled across some information that he wanted to put out, but I feel like Frank did not like that. And I feel like it was a lot of arguments. I feel like it was, Ray was beginning to see Frank in a different light. I feel like Ray really trusted Frank. Like they trusted each other, and I feel like Ray felt like they were really good friends. He had a lot of trust in Frank. He believed in him. He admired him. Felt like he was extremely smart and a real go-getter. But I feel like Ray may have come across some information that made him look at Frank in a different light and made him not trust him as much as he did in the past. I feel like he saw like another side of Frank, like a darker side of Frank. And I wish I had paid attention more, but the story didn't really interest me that much. But I know that it was like a magazine, like they wrote, it was like a magazine, or they put out like articles about like stocks or something like that. Like what were good stocks that you should buy into. And I feel like Frank may have tried to get Ray to give a really glowing recommendation for some kind of stock or something, and Ray realized that it was no good, or was like going to lead people down the wrong path. And I feel like they fought about that. And let me ask about the letter. I want to ask about the letter. Is there someone that could decode? Is the letter written in such a way that someone who knew Ray could decode it? Let's ask that. And if I get a major card, I'll say it's a yes. If not, a no. Is there someone that knows Ray well enough that could decode the letter if they like really studied it? All right, let's see. I got the Queen of Cups, but I got it in reverse. I would say no, there's no one in Ray's life that would be able to decode the letter. But I do feel like there is a woman that knows both Frank and Ray. She probably works at the company, that I don't even think Ray wrote it himself. I feel like it could have been someone else. I feel like it could have been a woman that wrote that letter. And I feel like she might even be like Frank's right hand person or someone that works really close with him. But I feel like she's just like Frank, just really, not trustworthy, immoral, uses people or whatever. But I feel like she could have had a hand in writing that letter. Or even if she didn't write the letter and Frank wrote it, I feel like as a woman, someone, feminine energy that could decode the letter. But I'll ask one more question. Will anyone be charged or arrested for Ray's killer? I get a major yes, minor no. Will there anyone be charged or arrested for Ray's killing with this new, story coming out? Will anyone be charged for Ray Rivera's killing or arrested? Well, that's pretty much the same thing because they can't arrest you if they don't have enough evidence to charge you. So, will anyone be charged for Ray's killing with this new information coming out? I got the sun, but I got it in reverse. So I would say yes. I would say yes. I feel like because it's in reverse, I feel like it's going to take someone who had a hand in it to try to cast the light on Frank. Like, it's not going to be based on just like the story. It's going to be someone that who has been feeling guilty, it's been weighing on their conscience, who wants to come out because they saw something, they heard something, or they even had a hand in it. Maybe not directly, but may have helped cover it up to come forward to bring a charge or arrest. All right, so the next case was called 13 Minutes. And this was a case about a woman. She owned a hair salon. She was married. She had a teenage son. And one morning she went to work. She had a few clients. And then after the last client left, she disappeared. And they called it 13 minutes because someone had called her like right after her last client left. And she spoke to that person. And then 13 minutes later, someone else had called her and she didn't answer. So investigators, police feel that between those 13 minutes is when she was abducted. Now, her name was Patrice Andrus. This happened here in Georgia. She was married to this guy. He's a way older guy. I forget what his name was. Last name was Andrus. Creepy guy to me. He locked her son out of the house that they shared like immediately after it happened. He didn't even grieve with the child. The guy was a child at the time. He's now grown. And he cremated her. He has her ashes and won't let the son have any. But I never, with cremation, I know with stuff like that, it always goes to the next of kin. And sadly, in this case, the next of kin is the husband because she was married, not the son. So that's a, warning to just be careful who you marry. Let it be somebody that you trust and who you know truly loves you. Now, they were saying that she was going to leave the husband because there were issues. He was controlling, and then he didn't like how she loved her son. Like, he was threatened by the son, it seemed. So let's ask, did Patrice Andrus' husband have something to do with her death? Oh, and another thing was, one of her client's friends had drove by her business and saw two people with their car parked in front of her business. And she thought it was strange because of the way that Patrice's car was in front of the business. It wasn't parked in the usual spot. But she didn't stop. She didn't get out. And someone else it was like two cars were driving on, going the opposite way, passing her business, and they saw these two people with their car and Patricia's car parked in a funny way. But the client didn't get out and ask questions. She just kept going. But those are the only two witnesses that saw something unusual in front of the business that day. So did Patrice Andrus' husband have anything to do with her death? Let's see. I got temperance. Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely feel like he has something to do with her death. And it's funny that the temperance comes up because it has these, if you know the temperance card, it's like a person, angel, or whatever that's holding these two chalices and balancing the liquid or energy or whatever you want to call it in between the two chalices. And it's funny because he has the urn, her urn with her remains in it. So I definitely feel like he had something to do with her death. Absolutely. And I feel like he is really really good at how do I put this? Like he's been able to cover it up for so long because he's really good at balancing things out, keeping covering his tracks really, really well. Like I feel like he was able to get away with this or to, not have the truth come out because he really knows how to plan things right down to the smallest detail. Like he's really good with balancing, really good with managing. And they were saying in the story that he kind of had like an airtight alibi because he had went to a store and he was like maybe 2 hours away from where it happened at the time that she disappeared. And he had clocked himself on like a highway at a store with his credit card and things like that. But I also wanted to ask, the two people that were in front of the store, were they involved? I almost feel, let me just ask this question first. Were the two people that were in front of her salon that day, were they involved in what happened? And it's funny that the temperance came out because of those two people that were in front of the store. So it's like the temperance to me is like almost representing him being in charge, and then the two chalices, they're like the two people that were there, and he's using them to cover his tracks. Okay, so let's ask, were the two people that were in front of her salon involved? I got the 5 of Cups, but I got it in reverse. I feel like yes. I feel like those two people were involved, but I feel like he got them involved, or he was able to get them involved, because I almost feel like he has something on them that he used to like blackmail them, or kind of like a situation where he told them that they owed him a favor or something like that. But I also feel like for him, I feel like with the 5 of Cups in reverse, I feel like he's going through like especially with this show coming out and really shedding, putting the spotlight on him. I feel like he's going through a lot right now. I feel like it's a lot of emotional ups and downs, and I feel like he's really scared about what these two people could say or what information could be uncovered. I feel like he's going to have some heartache or something surrounding this issue. I really do. All right, so will anyone be charged or arrested for this lady's killing? I feel like he's like the puppet master, like pulling the strings of those two people. Like, I don't know, I feel like, to me, like it was something where he called in a favor from these people. I wish they had looked at those two. Well, they actually didn't know, because what happened was the friend client saw the car, gave them the description of the people, but they could never find the car and could never find anyone that matches their description. But will anyone be charged or arrested for this killing because of this story now coming out to light? Because I was reading that a lot of tips have been coming forward about different cases that were made during this. But will anyone be charged for Patrice Andrus's killing? Okay. Will anyone be charged or arrested for Patrice Andrus's killing? I got Two of Swords in reverse. I feel like it's a yes, and I feel like someone has been talking to someone else regarding this case, and I feel like they have been talking to the wrong people, who, even though they have been blocked from saying something for a while, but they have been talking to the wrong people. And I feel like with this story coming out and the description of the two people in the car in front of her business with that car, that they're going to put two and two together and they're going to go to the police. I feel like people have been talking to someone about this case, but that someone that they have been talking to never really had much to go on. And I feel like the downfall for this case will be this story coming out, and this person that has this information that can point the police in the direction of those two people that were standing in front of her salon. All right. So the next case was called House of Terror. And this was a case that was in France. It was a family. It was a mother, father, and 3 or 4 kids. And a woman that worked for the family or knew the family had noticed one day that the shutters of their house were closed, which was unusual, because even when they went away on vacation, the mother always kept the shutters open. So she called the police. They went over there. They didn't see anything. Someone called the police. The police went back a few times. And then finally the police, I'd say about maybe a month or 2 later, the police finally, they had like in their backyard, they had like steps. And then underneath the steps, the police discovered 3 or 4 bodies. It was the mother and a few of the children, but the father was gone. And then, I don't know how long later, but they found another body of a son who was a college-age son, that was a few feet away from the other bodies. I don't remember if it was the same day that they found the bodies, but the father was gone. They were all dead. The rest of the family was dead, including the 2 dogs. And so it came out that the father was kind of like living a lie. He was supposed to be like this wealthy businessman, but it turned out he was broke. His father had recently died, maybe 3 or 4 months beforehand, and he was renting an apartment, and he was broke. But the son had grew up with money, and married this woman, and they had children, and then it just led to this situation. So they discovered the bodies. They were able to kind of track things when things happen. The son that they found a few feet away from the other bodies, they believed he was killed a few days later because he had went off to college and the father called him back. Then the father disappears and they were able to track his movements to a certain point. So my question is, I don't even need to ask if the father was involved. I definitely believe that. But my question is the father still alive? Because that was the question, because they were able to track his movements to a certain point, but they found an abandoned vehicle. He stopped using his credit cards, debit cards, or whatever, and it was just like he disappeared. So my question is the father still alive in this story? And I forget their names. They have French names, of course, but let's see. Is the father still alive? I got the Page of Swords, but I got it in reverse. I believe he is. I just believe that I believe that he just like started a new life. I feel like he completely shed his former identity. I feel like he changed up his look a little bit. Because, with the swords cards, it's about, your thoughts, it's about your mindset, it's about, and when you get the swords cards in reverse, I always feel like that's a situation where you could be, trying to get over on people, be a trickster, be deceiving, be very cunning. So with the Page of Swords in reverse, I feel like, yes, he is still alive, but I feel like he was able to, throw the police off because he just kind of like became an imposter in a way. Like he had a very, plain look. There's nothing, and that's something else that they were saying in the story, that he doesn't have anything about him that would stand out. It's not like he has any marks on his face or he's overweight. If you put him in a room with a whole bunch of other people, he's not going to stand out. So he used that to his advantage, and I feel like he just assumed a new identity. I feel like he has moved somewhere else, maybe another European country. He has created a new identity. He goes around exaggerating his background. I feel like, but I do also feel like he will be exposed. And I feel like he's, I hope people that may know him in his current life were watching this, because I feel like, he's definitely not trustworthy. Definitely unpredictable. And let's see. Will the father ever be found? Let's see. Will they ever find him? Will the father ever be found? I got Ace of Wands, but I got it in reverse. I feel like he will be found because I feel like he's tired. Like I feel like he might have to change his identity a lot. I feel like he moves around quite a bit, and I feel like the reason why he will be found is because he'll get sloppy. I feel like he feels like he has outsmarted people, and I feel like he'll start to get sloppy. And I feel like there's someone in his life, like with the Page of Swords in reverse, I feel like because he tells like these elaborate lies and these elaborate stories, that he has probably many people in his current life that look at him suspiciously, and I feel like he's getting tired, because it's hard, like when you are creating like a whole new life for yourself, like something that you didn't live, you have to keep up and remember details, and I feel like he's getting sloppy because he goes overboard with the lies, and I feel like he's tired. I feel like he might even be having some health issues. With the Ace of Swords in reverse, I feel like it might have to do with like fatigue or something like that, like maybe with the immune system, where he's tired a lot, so he's not moving as fast as he used to move. So he might arouse suspicion where he is, but normally he would just pick up and leave, but now he's kind of like so tired that he has to more so focus on his health, that he can't just pick up and go. And I feel like that's what's gonna be his downfall. And let me just ask, what part of the world is he in? Because they were saying in the show, on the episode, that he speaks Spanish fairly well, he speaks English fairly well, so he could do, even though his first language is French, he could do well in Spain, probably even Italy. He could go to South America. He could even come to North America, because he blends in so well and he's pretty much trilingual. You know what I mean? So let's see. What part of the world is he in? What part of the world is he in? I got the King of Pentacles, but I got it in reverse. I feel like, because that's an Earth card, I feel like he's somewhere, maybe where it's like a lot of wildlife, somewhere that's kind of like remote, like maybe a remote island, not island, but like kind of like a remote village, like somewhere where it's earthy, like it's just it's not city like, but it's maybe not the Amazon, I wouldn't say the Amazon, but something like that, somewhere where it's really remote, somewhere where it's kind of a close-knit small community, where the people is not near a city. I don't think it's near a city. I have a feeling like it doesn't get very cold where he is. I feel like he's just somewhere like the last place you would think he would be. I don't feel like he went to a big city, because it's like not cliche, but that's kind of like the first place that people will look. It's somewhere, I feel like it's somewhere remote, somewhere very earthy, like a lot of trees, just like a lot of wildlife, and kind of away from modern society in a way. All right, so the next case was called No Ride Home, and that case was about a guy. He was half Hispanic and half black. His name was Alonzo Brooks, and he lived in Kansas, I believe. He had went to a party at a house that was like an hour or two away from where he lived, with a few of his friends, and they said that he was like the only black guy there, and the friend that he went with left him for some reason and didn't go back for him, and he thought the guy would be all right, but it turns out he had gotten to like an altercation or an argument with someone at the party, and then he never made it home. And then about a month, and then the next day someone had called his mother's house where he lived and asked the mother to speak to him, and she said, "Oh, he's not with you." And that's how it turned up that he was missing. And about a month later, I know they found like his shoes or something, and then about a month later they found his body. So I wanted to ask, what circumstances led to the death of Alonzo Brooks? And then there was a friend that was there, and I think he left early or something, that was saying that he feels that it was like four or five guys that jumped him, and they got into a fight. And I feel like the police should have really hounded in on him, because he seems very specific with his details, like he knows something. But what circumstances led to the death of Alonzo Brooks? have the Page of Cups, but I got it in reverse. I feel like, I mean, they already said it was an altercation, but I feel like the altercation that he had with someone, this was a guy that was kind of young. I kind of get the feeling like he had been having an issue with Alonzo the whole night. Like he had been, I don't know, for some reason, I feel like he's the kind of person that even though he comes off very cool and unemotional, but inside he has like a lot of rage, and inside it's like his rage builds up. So I kind of get the feeling that he had kind of been like had his eye on Alonzo the whole night, like just had a problem with him the whole night. And I feel like this is a guy who let me see. And also another thing that I'm feeling is because of the Page of Cups, and they did say in the story that they were saying that Alonzo was talking to this girl and somebody didn't like it. I do feel like that was true, because I got the Page of Cups in reverse. I feel like whoever the guy that was that started this issue, he had his eye on Alonzo and this woman the whole entire night. I don't know if this woman was someone he had dealt with in the past and he was feeling some kind of way, because not only is she talking to a new guy in front of him, but this new guy happens to be a person, a brown black person or whatever, Hispanic black person or whatever. And I feel like that really bothered him. All right. I feel like the person that started the altercation is someone that comes off very unassuming, but they have a lot of rage inside. And, normally if you encounter this person, they seem like real nice and this, that, and the other. But if someone pushes their buttons even just a little bit, they can go boom. You know what I mean? They're just like a ticking time bomb. But for the most part, they're just cool and calm. Like that's their exterior, but inside it's a lot of rage. All right, how many people were involved in this situation? Because I feel like it started with that one person, but it's easy to get a crowd going because people like fights and are drawn to negativity. But how many people were involved? Let's see. How many people were involved in this situation? I got 6 of Cups. So I would say about 5 or 6 people. And I feel like these are people that are friends with this initial guy that started the situation. And they, I feel like they're really good friends. I feel like they've known each other. The people that were all involved and helped him with this situation to cover this up, they've known this guy for a while. Like they have, this is not like, they just saw a fight and they just jumped in. These are people that he was close with, people that he knew, people that he had emotional ties and he had a, history with. So I say a good 6 people. Do the people that Alonzo Brooks were with, the people that were supposed to be his friends that he came with, that knew him, do they know the truth? Let's see. Do Alonzo Brooks' friends know the truth? I got Temperance, but I got it in reverse. I would say yes. I don't feel like they know every single thing, but I do feel like they have, I feel like they don't know everything. I feel like they've gotten bits and pieces. They don't know every single detail, but I do feel like they know enough of the truth to come forward that could pin something on someone to get some kind of charges or arrest going. Got it in reverse. Also, with the temperance in reverse, I feel like that could be like, they didn't say how he died, but it could have something to do with water. Something to do with water. I feel like it could have started with a fight and it could have ended with something with water. Like maybe holding his head down underneath some water or something, or and you know something else? They found him near some water. I feel like I feel like it started with a physical fight, but I feel like what ultimately killed him had something to do with the water that he was found, like holding his head underneath the water, like beating him till he's unconscious and then holding his head underneath the water or something like that. But I do definitely feel like the people that came with him have heard some things, and I feel like they've heard enough to make an arrest. All right, last question for this segment of that was called No Ride Home. Will anyone ever be brought to justice? Will anyone ever be brought to justice? I feel like, and they were also saying that he had hurt his ankle. Alonzo Brooks had hurt his ankle like a few weeks or a few days before the situation happened. And I feel like on his own, he probably could have took this dude, but with his ankle being hurt, that hindered him. But will anyone ever be brought to justice for this Alonzo Brooks situation? I got the 4 swords. I say yes. I definitely feel like someone will be brought to justice. I feel like with the 4 swords, it's like someone is tired after a long battle. They're ready to just throw the flag in. They're just alone in their thoughts. I feel like another thing with the 4 swords, I feel like there is someone who's really they're really in their thoughts about this situation. Like it's really eating up at their consciousness. They're conscious about it. So I definitely feel like some kind of charges or something will happen, because I feel like someone's tired. I feel like someone's tired and they're just ready to talk. Like it's been eating away at them for a long time and they're just ready to talk so they can just have it off their chest. All right, so the next case was called Berkshire's UFO, and that was about a case. It was about I think they were in Massachusetts in like 69. It was young boys that had like an encounter with a UFO, and it was the story was told from the perspective of each different people that all had encountered the whole thing, the same thing, but from different perspectives. So what I wanted to ask for that was it a UFO that the brothers saw that day? Because it was two brothers. It was a family that was driving. It was a woman with her friend. It was like they all had a different viewpoint of what happened. So was it a UFO that these brothers saw that day? Am I gonna major? Yes. Minor? No. Was it a UFO? Yes. Strength. Yes, it absolutely was a UFO. Absolutely. Yes, it was a UFO that they saw that day. And I feel like with the strength card, I feel like that UFO was trying to contain something, like contain energy or something. Because one of the brothers was saying that he had fell to the ground and he could not move. It was like something that was holding him back. So I definitely feel like it was like they were kind of like siphoning energy from, and I don't know why, because I don't know anything about aliens and UFOs, but it was like they kind of siphoning energy from these humans or something, or reading their minds or something, because he said he couldn't move. But next question, what was the purpose of the encounter? What was the purpose of the UFO encounter that day? What was the purpose of the UFO encounter? I got the devil card. I feel like it was something like a mind control thing. It was like they were like trying to read, like, I don't know, read this boy's energy, or like, you know, you've seen science fiction movies where they're like scanning a person's body to try to get their thoughts, or, you know, or something like that. So I feel like it was something to do with like trying to, and I don't really know how to describe it, but like trying to like read his DNA or read his code or something like that. I feel like it was like kind of like a control thing. It was like they saw something like energetically in him that they were trying to like copy, like make a copy of his DNA code or something like that, because he was saying that he was on the ground, he had fell on the ground and he couldn't move. It was like something holding him down. And then the UFO like kind of like what I feel like kind of scanned him, and then after it was done, he felt like the energy like lift up, and then he could get up and run. So I feel like it was kind of like just someone, like something trying to control him, trying to scan his energy field, trying to scan his aura, trying to maybe like make a copy or a sample of his energy or his aura or something like that. And once they got a good scan or whatever, I know it sounds crazy, but once they got like a good scan, they let him go, because they didn't hurt anyone. They didn't hurt him. He was only laying down there. He wasn't laying down there that long. And then they let him go, and no one was hurt. No one became, you know, was missing or anything like that. The story was not that interesting to me, but you know, it was I did watch it. It was one of the segments. All right. So the last case was called Missing Witness. And this was a case about a woman. She had been disappeared. She grew up with like 4 other sisters and her mother. And her mother was kind of like a man eater. She would go from man to man, you know, finding men who wanted to take care of her. And then from what I gathered, when the money ran out with the man, or, you know, he fell on hard times, she just upped and left. And this one particular case, the lady that was missing, her name was Lena Chapin. What happened was Lena Chapin had a stepfather who disappeared. And Lena, you know, it came out in the story that Lena had witnessed her mother shoot and kill the stepfather, and then took his body away. So what happened was Lena went missing after she was subpoenaed. It's like a subpoena when the cops tell you have to testify or you have to give a statement. And then they had subpoenaed her, and then she disappeared. And what happened was she went to the stepfather's brother, and he recorded her telling him what happened to her brother. She basically said that she was home one day, the stepfather was watching TV, the mother came out, shot him, killed him. The mother and her new man drug him out and put him in a car and took him away. And she was telling the stepfather's brother that, you know, there's nothing left of him. They chopped him up, pieces here, pieces there, burned pieces of him. So it's like nothing left of him. There's no evidence for them to ever tie the mother and this new man to the stepfather's murder. But he is dead, and that's what happened. And then when the police wanted her to come forward based on that information, she went missing. So let's just ask, did Lena Chapin's mother kill her? It's very creepy cases, but did Lena Chapin's mother kill her? I got the Eight of Swords. I say yes, and I feel like with the Eight of Swords, I feel like she was bound. I feel like she was bound. Like, I feel like she could have even been like buried alive or something like that. Like where she, like her body was restricted. Just like trapped. Like I really feel like she could have been buried alive or something like that. Yes, I absolutely feel like her mother killed her. Absolutely. And she might be, and I feel like it could have happened like near some water or something like that. Which leads me to the next question, what happened to her body? But with the Eight of Swords, I feel like she was buried somewhere near some water. But let me just ask, what happened to Lena Chapin's body? I got the Queen of Swords and I got it in reverse. I definitely feel like her mother, I feel like the Queen of Swords in reverse definitely represents her mother, because they said her mother was she cheated on like every man she ever got with. Her and Lena seem to be the closest, and I feel like Lena didn't feel like her mother could ever do this to her, but I feel like her mother betrayed her, like kind of pretended that she, you know, was not just her mother, but like really cared about her and, you know, made her feel like she never had anything to worry about, and kind of used that against her. But why Queen of Swords in reverse as far as what happened to her body? And with the Swords cards coming up, the Eight of Swords and Queen of Swords in reverse, I feel like they could have given her like something that could have like knocked her out or made her dizzy, you know. Like, what is that thing called? Like chloroform or something, where they put it over your mouth and it kind of like knocks you out. And I feel like they did something like that and bound her. I don't know. That's just a feeling that I have because of these Swords cards. I feel like it has something to do with the head, something to do with loss of memory, something with being unconscious. Okay, clarify. Queen of Swords in reverse. I got the Star and I got it in reverse. I definitely feel like I feel like she's buried near some water. I feel like how they buried her, I don't feel like she was shot or anything like that. I feel like they knocked her out, bound her, buried her near some water. I almost feel like she wasn't dead when she was buried, which is sad. It was like torture. But I definitely feel like it was near some water. Will the person who's responsible ever be arrested or charged for Lena Chapin's disappearance, murder, or whatever? Will the person who was responsible ever be charged or arrested? I got the Ten of Wands. I would say it's a heavy, I would say they're burdened by this situation and this story coming out, but I don't necessarily feel like, I feel like they might even move the body or move the remains or something, but I don't feel like it's enough evidence. I don't feel like it's enough evidence for them to charge her. Because the thing is, because the body is never recovered, it's like hard to prove. that she's even dead. But I do feel like with the ten of wands, and with the 10 of wands, it's the man carrying the wands. It's a heavy burden. I feel like she's, whatever is left of her, whether it's clothes, whether it's remains, will be moved from where it is. Because I feel like they could get caught, but I don't feel like it's enough evidence to charge them. All right, so this is my reading on the Unsolved Mysteries series on Netflix. If you have Netflix and you haven't checked it out, please check it out. It's very interesting. They're going to have another 6 episodes. I don't know when. They didn't announce it, but I'm going to watch that as well. My name is Kai, and thank you so much for stopping by my channel. If you would like your own personal reading, please click the link below. It's 3 questions for $15. And if this is, like I said, if this is your first time stopping by my channel, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. And I will see you next time. Bye.